I developed this idea of entrepreneurship turned inward when I started my coaching work. And I developed it out of this observation that I've made that the American way, maybe it's a California way, maybe it's a Bay Area way, to want to invest our time, our energy, our social connections, our money in entrepreneurial, startup, sexy endeavors. So I decided to turn that on its head a little bit and say, what if we took care of the business of our lives? So I created this model, Entrepreneurship Turned Inward, which is a vessel for the coaching process that I use. We start with self-discovery, which is revisiting the patterns and the story of our life to see what we learn from the highs and, more typically, what we learn from the lows. We don't want to be there, but inevitably that's where we get the grist for the mill that pushes us on. And that shifts to the next step, which is about getting in game shape for your life. We're all athletes, even though it's not out there running a race. We're athletes because to be vital and feel like we're thriving, we need to understand the 5 essential elements that help us get there. So I have a quiz I use with people. It's kind of like an old-fashioned Cosmo quiz where you check the boxes and you rate yourself at the end. But it helps people. It's all based on research, and it helps people understand their foundation, their baseline, so that when we start our work, they revisit who they are in self-discovery, and they move on to establishing their foundation to feel like they are who they want to be, and they get their mojo back so we can move forward. The next step has to do with understanding the guideposts that we follow. A lot of people come to me and they'll say, I've been successful or not, but somehow opportunities came my way and I took them. I've never really that consciously planned things out. Maybe I should do it differently now. And this could be in their personal life or their business life. So we look at the guideposts, the values. And when I work with people, the values are not measured in words or intentions. The values are measured in behaviors. It's walking the walk. So first you have to get clear about what you want to say your values are. Then you have to actually identify the behaviors so you can follow through and do that. So we have self-discovery, the 5 essentials which help you feel like you're thriving. You have the guideposts you're following. And then people will say, okay, so now what's it about? I want to find my passion. And my best advice is, don't get stuck when it comes to purpose and passion. People put blinders on when they try to focus on that one thing. They feel like they should be Mother Teresa. That's not going to happen, most likely. So we work through that and we find out what brings them joy. And then we move on to take what we've been building so far and create an incremental plan, which has to do with consciously curating, like a great artist, like a great museum director, the works that we have in our lives that we want to put together. And that has to do with also saying no and deciding what goes out. The process continues, and ultimately we create a portfolio. It's a deliverable. It's an action plan that people really use and depend on to keep themselves kind of honest and clear and guided until it's time to revisit the process again when the next step or stage or change comes up in their lives.